Okay, back here with some more Legends of the Arena. My name is Michael Toth, one of the designers, and today we've got a banger of a match between Brian, one of the co-designers of the game, and Kimberly. Kind of confusingly, XXYYDZD is Brian. He's in the teal shorts playing as Tikkit, and we can see his perspective here, which is pretty cool. And then we've got Kimberly in the brown on Fitz. Pretty exciting matchup. Both these players obviously have a lot of experience. And we're gonna start off by introducing Tikkit. He's a unique legend that plays 4 cards per turn, but stepping back even more from that, Legends Arena is a game where you try to knock the other player out of the arena. You can see the arena here. It's the 7 cards. Each card at the end is an edge. You can kind of see the platform and the sky that you get knocked into, and pushed one off the edge is a knockout. And characters are going to be dueling back and forth on this track. You can see their kind of health marker, which tracks their fatigue. The more fatigued you are, the more tired you get, the easier you are to push. And so each player is going to select 3 cards for in Tikkit's case, place them face down, as you can see Brian XXYYDZD doing, and then Kimberly in the brown still thinking through. Brian's first play actually missed most of that, but it looked like he's going for perfect timing. Perfect timing is Tikkit's edit. Edits let him kind of change the rules of the game, and that particular edit lets him pause. Okay, we're back. That particular edit allows him to do all of his moves in one exchange. So the way a round, or we call it sequence in Legends of the Arena, goes is a sequence is 3 exchanges, and exchanges when each player plays at least 1 card. And so Kimberly's still working through her move, but perfect timing lets you do all 3 of your exchanges or your actions in one exchange. So whether that's the first one, the second one, or the third one, you'll kind of see as we get into it. But very powerful, but also very committal sort of play. So if you're doing all 3 in one, that means you're doing nothing in the other 2. And Fitz, on the other hand, he's a heavyweight brawler, the heaviest character in our game. As you can see there, he's wielding some sausage links along with the tomahawk, and he's got a great move called Link Up, where he sausage links people into their space and then whacks them with the meat. I think the way this matchup could go is certainly, Tikkit's got to find a way to pressure Fitz's heavier health total while not taking too much fatigue in return. And Fitz needs to figure out how to land blows on Tikkit. I think he's the kind of character that if you spend too much time doing setup, he'll just dodge, But if you spend too much time just kind of throwing random attacks out, he can easily work around that. So we'll see how Kimberly threads the needle there. Some other things to talk about: Legends Arena 2 to 6 players, multiplayer free for all, as well as 1v1. Doing a little 1v1 tournament here to crown the champion of the arena before it even comes out. We're on Kickstarter right now, fully funded, and pretty stoked to get this in people's hands. But obviously, even before that, we've had a lot of people playing. Kimberly's done a ton of play testing. One of the designs that didn't make it to the box is actually one she contributed a lot to. So I think she really knows the ins and the outs of Fitz, as well as a few other characters. So excited to see what she comes up with, and it looks like she is ready. So with that, players are going to flip off the first card of their action stack. Tikkit will flip too, because he's got the edit, and we'll see what moves they've queued. So once you've formed that stack, you've kind of committed yourself. Those are the actions you're going to do. And she does start with the link up, so that's exciting. So she's going to try and pull him in. Brian's going for the perfect timing, and we'll see which exchange all of his moves are going to go in. So his first move's at speed 33, then 80, then 30. So kind of a double punch maneuver, but in the second exchange. So he's doing nothing right now. So just a free pull for Fitz there. And I think they're going to be happy that Tikkit's in their space on exchange number 2, because I think she's going to follow it up with another, with a punch of some kind, maybe a smash. But we'll have to see. So second card is block. Ooh, mixing it up there. I did not expect a block. And that block is very well timed. So Brian is attacking with 2 punches, each with 2 power, and block is not consumed. So that block just blocks everything. And so Brian's just a sitting duck here. Ooh, that's just heartbreaking. You know, Fitz is that kind of character where, like, if he had done this frame 1, he would have looked like a genius. Frame or exchange 2, and he just gets wrecked. So 2 fatigue and a push for Brian. Silver border cards go to the discard, they go on cooldown. You draw another one. All the black border cards come back to your hand, and we will see what Brian's got cooking for us next time. Brian in the teal, Kimberly in the brown. Don't look at the names in the top right. So great sequence 1 for Kimberly. I think one of the big ones to play around, one of the big cards Fitz has that Brian wants to play around as Tikkit is Tenderize. 3 block, 3 attack, just super strong stat card. And it looks like Brian's going for the quick fix, and I think that's a great card to help him work around whatever Kimberly's doing. I think, you know, generally in the first exchange you see players commit to something like a movement or a range attack, and so you can kind of see their plan for the rest of the sequence and then make an adjustment. So what quick fix does is each player puts another card on top of their stack, and so I think some people find it really disruptive. And so looks like there was some confusion about the order of Kimberly's cards. Order is very important, but you know, it's a friendly tournament here, so we'll let her reset the order to what she actually wants it to be, and then go from there. And yeah, I think, oh man, it's super hyped to see this in 1v1, you know, as game designer, seeing it, you know, being played at the highest level we have currently. And I'm excited to see how this goes. So the quick fix versus the stepping right into the punch, though. Or is that a back? I actually can't see. It is a step. Called it. Step into the punch. You hate to do it, but you must do it. And there's the hover. Thank you very much, players. Step into the punch. So that's Brian's first blood. He's on the board. And now they're going to do the quick fix that I talked about. So they're each going to add another card. So kind of like, as you can see, Brian sliding the back in there. You know, now that he sees Kimberly's committed to coming at him, he's going to try and duck out and get out of dodge. And we'll see if Kimberly can do anything about that. Ooh, she can. Very well played by her. Recognizing that Brian would probably run away, she goes ahead and gets something for nothing and gives it a shot. Third exchange, this sequence is going to have 4. It's better with time versus the Tenderize that I talked about earlier. So 3 block, easily blocking Brian's damage, and they both block in the final frame. So I think a bit more of a defensive round. Good on Kimberly to use the quick fix to get a point of fatigue in there, and we are heading into the 3rd exchange. So Brian picked up bullet time, super strong attack. It's faster than block. It beats other range attacks. It really, when you have that card as Tikkit, you feel like you can win a lot of the range poke wars. But Fitz, he's not so big into that. One thing Brian does have going for him, though, is that Fitz has already used the link up. So Brian can pretty safely back out of this position and feel confident that unless Kimberly really committed, he's not going to be melee with her. I think that's what I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for like a back shot, bullet time, and maybe even juicing it with the perfect timing, so it all goes off frame 1 or frame 2. Just really make sure you get your shots in, and you create space with your opponent. I think that's what he's going to go for. I think that's a strong play. So we got the dive from Kimberly. Ooh, that's unfortunate though for Brian. The dive is one of the few cards that counters bullet with time, so as we saw, perfect timing, exchange one, so he's going to do all three of his things. So Kimberly dives in, Brian's bullet time misses, the back will go next because it's in speed order, higher speed goes first, and so the better with time will still hit, and even though it hits for just for one, it's still good for a fatigue. So now it's all Kimberly. Brian's not doing anything else for the rest of the round, but yeah, Gluttony misses because Brian's not doing anything. And then finally it looks like she had a smash, which will also miss. This is at range 0, so that's the power of perfect timing right there. I think, you know, it's only one fatigue, but I think it's better than nothing. And so Brian's picked up his ult, so is Kimberly. Brian's ult lets him play each card in reverse after the sequence is ended. So he kind of gets to play every card twice, but the order is a bit complicated. And Kimberly's ult is a big attack based on the amount of fatigue she has. She doesn't have too much fatigue, so I doubt we'll see that coming out soon. On Brian's end, I think one of the tricky things with Tikkit is that because he's already used his silvers, I think he's not as incentivized to play his ult. You know, your silver cards are your best cards, and your ult lets you play your cards twice, so you want to play your best cards twice. What will we see instead? I think a double time is what I would do if I were Brian. Lets you switch the field on your opponent, right? So he's kind of backed into the corner right now, but he could move 2, effectively moving through his opponent in one action. I think that's very strong. Most other characters would have to take 2 of their 3 exchanges just to do the move through. You know, some would even need to take 3. So I think double time, although it doesn't look like he's playing double time here. Wait, he's not playing double time. What's he playing? Oh, he hasn't picked one. Ooh, you know, even the best. So blocking first, respect. I think that makes sense because the shot lets you turn. So you know, even if you step through. Okay, so interesting. Block. Looks like he's gonna do a back, but he's backing. What's he backing into? Ooh, okay. So they're switching spots. This is great for Ryan, I think. And so Kimberly's playing step, closing the distance at 90, and then Brian is going to go back 2. So very powerful, you know, space reversal, and then hidden with the better time at the end. So I think this is, you know, another small win here for Tikkit. So that's a better time striking for 2. Kimberly's smash there is missing. I don't think the 2 is enough to get a push yet. And yeah, I think, yeah, 2 is just barely not a push. So we are, I would say, solidly in the mid game now. So the early game of Legends, hard to push somebody. It's all about just generating fatigue and maybe looking for a cheeky win. But those are pretty rare. Mid game, much more balances towards, okay, you're getting pushed a little bit. It's hard to push someone a lot, so you know, the middle of the board's still usually pretty safe, but where Kimberly is right now, it's starting to look a little less safe. So Brian wise to get out of there. If I'm in Kimberly, I'm not worrying it because as Fitz, you're really hard to knock out. So I think she's looking for, and her ult's starting to come online. I think it's like a 4 power attack now. So, you know, getting over Brian's block and then some. So I think, you know, she's probably looking for a dive, maybe dive smash block. You know, a lot of the silver cards are out. The ult's not quite good enough yet. If she drew Tenderize, I could see a block Tenderize smash. You know, I think starting with a block is a really strong move from her because if Brian dives, then she can choose her facing, right? And she can continue to face off the edge and look for that quick, you know, kind of cheeky KO. Since it is still the mid game, you really have to have a strong positional advantage if you're gonna get a KO at this stage. And so her position right now, you know, it's dangerous for her, but it can just as easily be dangerous for Brian. And I'm excited. I'm glad we get to see Tikkit in a game. He's definitely the highest complexity hero we have in this demo here, and here we go. Brian at it again with perfect timing, first frame. So 3 cards all up front. He's blocking, he's backing up, and he's just poking away. Now, does he still want to do that back? I mean, you have to, unless it says may, but I think that's, you know, if Kimberly's fall, if it's a shot, dive, smash, Brian's in a bit of trouble. All right, so no push yet, but, you know, really getting the, what? Okay, woo, close one there. Yeah. So Kimberly's shot is blocked by Brian. Then she's blocking. Oh, and no, he should be out of range for the link up. Let's see here. Players reading the cards. You know, this game isn't launched yet. It's definitely an early tournament. You know, I think this is one of those ones that as we see more people getting their hands on the game, we'll see. It was a great back. Brian didn't have to play that back, but you know, I think just sensing that your opponent wanted to do some kind of link up. Hey, it's a good dodge. So what are we looking at now? So I think Brian needs to draw a card. No, he already drew a card. This is looking like a good position to potentially go for the alt, and I think he agrees. I'm sorry, I'm very biased from his perspective because I get to see his cards, but yeah, doing the alt into some kind of shot, dive, punch, and then reverse, very strong. Definitely could see that closing out the game, but equally, Fitz is enough, definitely has enough fatigue that I could see them just going for the dive alt, or maybe just straight up the alt, and it's a KO. You know, if the alt hits and Brian's not blocking, maybe even if he is blocking, he's done for. So I'm really excited to see how this turns out. I think we're definitely at the stage where, like, you know, we'll call it the late Middle Ages here, where it's like it's not quite every hit is potentially a KO, but the number of hits that are a KO is rapidly increasing. You know, it's not just Fitz's alt, also maybe a tenderize if Brian's in the wrong spot. So I think you know, there's a lot of options from Kimberly. Down a special card, so certainly not. Okay, so let's see here. So Kimberly going for the alt, or Brian going for the alt here, but Kimberly got the dive. I think that's really strong. Puts her in such a safe position. Brian's really gonna have to work overtime to push her off unless he's got a turn. And he chose not to do the turn from his shot, which would have just flipped the board on her. And oh my God, is it enough from Brian? So we've got right about now from Brian. It's a strike of 2 at range 0, and it immediately resolves the push tokens. And so the key about that is it will push Kimberly before her attack goes, because her attack goes at 30. I mean, that's tragic, because that's the KO right there. And that's the play I would have gone for. So I think, you know, sometimes the cards are against you, and that's tough. So Fitz will be immediately pushed 1, and then it looks like Big Feast is then going to miss. So Kimberly's alt whiffs. So it's very well timed. Now see that the downside of Brian doing this is that, interesting. Okay, he goes back, and Kimberly followed that up with Tenderize. Crazy, very strong. Oh, if that order was just different. So Brian does all his cards in reverse now. So he does a back. Right, does a back, and then he'll do, because you do them in the reverse order, so he does a back, which comes with the turn. His punch misses, but then the better with time hits. So that'll be another fatigue and a push of 2 now. So he's really, okay, he's really cooking Fitz there. And all the alts are out. And Tenderize is out, so it looks like the last card for last special is Gluttony and Bullet Time. And I think this is, you know, Fitz loves having fatigue, but it's a little too much fatigue. I think like trading one or two of those fatigues for fatigues on Tikkit, then you'd be in a happy spot. So from this position, I think if I'm Kimberly, I'm looking to find a way to score some more fatigue hits and find a way to punish the perfect timings. I think there's been two perfect timings where Brian's done nothing for, the second and the third exchange. Like he's gone all in on the first exchange twice in a row now. I think that's something you can capitalize on. It looks like he's going for the quick fix this time to try and get that mid sequence disruption. But I think last time it came out in Kimberly's favor. So this could be a chance for her to start evening out the fatigue score. And like, because she's so tanky, I think if she just gets off the edge, she's going to be pretty safe from most of his attacks. Okay, yeah. So he goes for the bullet time. Tried a little cheeky shot there, and honestly, well played. There's only like 2 cards that'll save you from bullet time, and dive is one of them. And now she's reset the stage again, and now it's time for the quick fix, which Brian's got his punch still available to him. So does he sub in the punch, or does he just go for the movement? Okay, so block played by Fitz. Tikkit follows up with a step, and so Kimberly can decide to turn, which you'd think she would, and yeah, there it is. Even if you're playing shot, no harm. Okay, so she had a smash follow-up, and Brian gets the better with time, and it's a strike of 2, so this might be it. Might be seeing the first ever recorded Tikkit win. Not an easy character, folks, but Brian making it look really strong. Kudos to him. And yeah, I think this matchup off to a crazy start. I think that was a very exciting 1v1. Very much back and forth. Got to see a lot of different ideas from both characters. And Brian looks like he's swapping to Hilda. Is a range assassin. Chandelier is like one of the strongest cards in the game. That's her ultimate, as well as she's got some movement abilities and some disruption that I think make her really strong. Starting in the middle, it's a bold choice. It's not a valid choice. He'll move it over once he realizes. And it looks like Kimberly's sticking with Fitz. Respect, I think honestly, sometimes with Tikkit, you get the feeling that, you don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. And it doesn't work out for you. So I totally understand, I would say it was less of something went wrong and more of something Tikkit did right. So let's see how this game 2 goes. What did Kimberly learn? Also, how does this matchup go? Hilda wants to be at range. Fitz wants to be up close and personal. So I think we're going to see there's a lot of pressure on the hook card. If Kimberly can, the link up, the sausage link from Fitz, if he can link up with Hilda, if that connects, I think that's pretty backbreaking for her. I think it's definitely the sort of thing where like Hilda only has a couple tools to create space. She has a lot of tools to deal damage at range, but not as many to create space, especially versus a character that can just pull her back in. So I think, probably seeing Fitz play a few more dives than last time. And both players playing around that hook ability. And so yeah, it looks like both characters have their cards set. So, and just it's just a shot for shot right off the bat. So both characters not pulling punches. I think this really favors Fitz as the heavier character. And then yeah, it looks like dive into back, another classic pairing where, like, the dive player wants to close the distance, but because back is slower, she'll slide right out of there. So against the wall, but not out of the fight. Ooh, very well played from Kimberly there. Following the dive up with Gluttony, maybe not the most typical, but Gluttony is a card that if you get hit, you return an extra fatigue on the target. So even though Brian successfully dodged the dive, Kimberly accounted for that. I think that's a really amazing use of Gluttony. I think that's like the kind of role, as a designer, I am excited to see it fill. I think because it has infinite range, it works in melee and at range. It's pretty strong versus a character like Hilda if you can find when she's doing an attack. So fatigue 3-2, so definite advantage Fitz there, and even more so because he's heavier, as well as positional advantage I would also give to Fitz, with the caveat that Hilda, Hilda doesn't mind being on the edge. Yeah, it looks like Brian's going to turn the tables on Fitz. Shall I, gain some more of that distance, get out of hook range, and fire off a shot? I think that's perfect. That's, it's really Hilda play 101. I actually don't see the third card. Is he going for a punch? This is interesting. We'll have to see. So mixing a punch in there. On Fitz's side, what am I looking for? Since it's early game, probably a shot. Although if I'm Kimberly, I'm looking shot, dive, smash, because if Hilda's going to play on the edge, there's a chance for you to get an early cheeky win. It's just the edge is dangerous, folks. You got to watch out. And Hilda already with 3 fatigue. Once you're at 4 fatigue, smash on the edge is lethal for a character as light as Hilda. I think for Fitz, you'd have to be at 5 fatigue for that sort of maneuver to work. But yeah, I think shot, dive, smash is gonna keep it simple. Don't try to don't burn anything fancy. You're super far ahead. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked to see what the players come up with. I think. Let's see here. She has the hook, and she has, so there's definitely a hook play here, like back block hook or something, or back into hook. I think would be a really strong play because back gives you a turn, so then your hook is guaranteed to hit. Yeah, back hook smash would be my second choice. Players having a little fun with the assets there, and interesting. Okay, defensive pivot and punch. Each player thinking the other is going to be more aggressive. Into the tenderize. Okay, Kimberly really sure that Brian's coming to her, which is not. So Hilda changing the scene, and all the block is out for Fitz, but nice. Yeah, the turn 3 shot at the end there. I mean, it's the players going even. It's good for Fitz, but 1 away from the ult, which I think if the ult lands, it doesn't matter how tough you are. I think that's Chandelier is such a strong ult that not even Fitz can really withstand it. Kimberly showing a little little preview of what she's gonna do. Dive. I mean, when you're facing against a character like Hilda, it is one of my favorite buttons to press. So yeah, if you're Fitz, I think personally that Brian's been playing around the dive. You saw the punch on exchange 1 last round, and so that's someone looking to heads up work around the dive. And so if I'm Fitz, I'm shifting to like control the center. Maybe something like step, hook, smash. There's the step there. Each stepping. Ooh, Brian doing a good old dancing around here and getting punished for it. Just step into shot. And if that, ooh. Alright, Brian really getting worked over here. And there's the hook. Well played by Kimberly. I think that's a beautiful sequence. The step, the shot, the hook. Recognizing that, like, at the end of the day, yes, hook doesn't add fatigue, and like yes, hook isn't the hook adds fatigue. It doesn't push. And doing it in the third frame means you don't get that bonus, or in the third exchange means you don't get the bonus force in the next exchange. It's only good for the exchange you play it in. But just recognizing that, like, it's a range attack, and you're in a fireball throwing contest with one of the best. So why not use everything you have to your disposal to make sure you're staying ahead in the fatigue count? And I think they're ahead by 2 now. I think it's 4 fatigue on Fitz, 6 on Hilda. So Kimberly really masterclass using every bit of the bison. This butcher's breaking it down. And yeah, I think the interesting question is, where do you go from here, right? Because ults are out now. So I think, like, Fitz's ult does damage equal to the number of fatigue +1 on Kimberly. So that's an attack of 5. Strong enough to go through Brian's block. So it's something Brian's got to be thinking about. It also gives her another melee attack, right? So suddenly she's throwing something like Smash Dive, Big Feast, and it's like 2 melee attacks, both going to be at range 0, So, like, unless Brian has 2 moves timed perfectly, and yeah, ooh, there's the first one. There's the smash into the punch. Okay, so Brian taking the trade there, which I think, he must have expected something else, like a shot from her. But instead, it's going to be a push 5. I think that's just going to be game 2 there in the books. The power of Fitz, I really got to say, the gluttony play as well as the link up, just really well played. And Hilda's out. So Fitz, no longer playable for Kimberly. I forgot to mention this, but the way the tournament rules work is if you win, you must change characters. If you lose, you have the option to. Mirror matches are allowed, but, they're just not as fun in my experience. But they do work. They actually work really well in this game. But just from a casting perspective, it's a lot of the same. So Kimberly will have to switch. We'll see who she switches to. Off Fitz. Not exactly sure who her number 1 choice would be. And then Brian has the option. And I think he might swap off Hilda, because it didn't look nearly as smooth as his Tikkit play. He was really cooking on Tikkit. But we'll have to see. I think other characters I would expect to see coming out of Brian, maybe a Sabo, maybe a Lucius. And from Kimberly, I think we'll see an Alysia. I think those. Although maybe Kimberly will take Tikkit. I'm interested to see. Okay, so Kimberly going for Alysia. Big fan of that. That's a pretty solid choice. Alysia, another one of the kind of low complexity intro characters. She's a rush down brawler, can do a lot of multiple hits, and has a really strong ult. So I think, but Sabo, oh man, Sabo, one of my favorite characters, absolute just joy to play. More of a zoner, so definitely harder to, definitely, the way I think of Sabo, whether it's true or not, but as a designer, I gotta have some say in this, is if you love callouts, and if you get the right callout with Sabo, you're killing it, right? Sabo has the ability to punish other players in a callout situation more than anyone else. You're able to stack so much damage and fatigue on one condition, right? Like, did you move here? Did you move there? Am I in your space? Am I not in your space? And so, like, those kind of mind games, I think, are really strong. Sabo does really well with. And I think Brian's going to have a lot of fun with that. On Kimberly's end, I think Alicia's got some really cool combos. We'll see where she takes the character. Ooh, okay, so right off the bat, wow, both players playing their silver right off the bat. So wind up for Alysia is a strong card to lead with, gets you the initiative, increases the damage of your next attacks, and early game, I think it's good to get it out early. And then Brian looks like he's making a little token for Sabo because we forgot to add it. And so what he gets is Spike Trap, which is that little D6 there. And every time an opponent moves into that space, they take a fatigue and take it down by 1. And when there's no counters left, it's gone. So exchange 2. I see Sabo's going back. Ooh, I don't know about this. And Alicia's got a shot, so it's fatigue on Sabo. Now the reason why I'm worried about the back is because the hook only has range 1 to 2. And yeah, so they're both going to miss here. So on the plus side, Sabo's put some distance between himself and the trap, and I really like that because it gives him some room to play around it. It's not just like, oh, she dove to my space. Now, even if she dives to him, she still gets the fatigue, but he's not on the space of the trap as well. So it gives him the ability, let's say he can push her onto the trap, you know? Alysia with the wind up on the first frame, on the first exchange, I think, you know, she was going to get value out of it no matter what. So I like the play, and we'll see what they go for next. So it looks like Brian's not opting to use his special card right away. He's definitely going to hold on to those. I definitely find that as well with Sabo, that I like to gather a couple of my special cards and then unleash them all in one kind of mega turn versus playing them one at a time. Besides the Spike Trap, obviously getting the Spike Trap out early, that's always good. So on the Alysia side, you're in a tricky spot, right? You're ahead on fatigue, but just barely. But diving in is going to be tough. She goes for it anyway. I think that's the right move, you know? Brian going for the step here, so he would negate the shot while also getting himself off the edge. I think it's a good play. Undoes the, you know, back I think he should have done. So maybe he was doing like a step, pull, punch. Okay, call from below. This is and into a relentless cleave. So Alysia with a relentless cleave hits Brian for 1 to push, and then call is a charge up attack. So it does nothing this frame or exchange, but next exchange it will. And so next exchange over here will go first. That's the pull. The shot will miss, and then they'll each hit each other for 2. And Kimberly with thinking about turning because she does have a turn on that shot. She doesn't go for it. A little bit of TTS fun there, but yeah, so push on Brian, and then the call from below does hit on Alysia. Very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice. So yeah, really good use of Relentless Cleave from Kimberly. I think that's a scary card for Sabo because it's, you know, he wants to be fatiguing the opponent more. And even though Alysia dove into the trap and got hit with the call from below, he still ended up taking as much fatigue as she did. So I think we'll have to see what he goes for. I think going for that, yeah, the tether, the 0 to 1 attack, very strong in this position. It's exactly what you want to do. I would follow it up with the flying leap, tether, flying leap, step. On Alicia's hand, I think you step or you dive. Like, you just get in there. You're not trying to mess around in this fatigue like trap thing. If he pushes you into it, so be it. But I think if you step and you strike, you have the chance of just bullying him off this edge before he can do anything about it. Like, I think you very much have the advantage here, even if it's just by 1. Like, you are threatening, you're threatening lethal if you can get like maybe a shot step smash, something like that, where like you put just enough damage on him, you get him into the corner, finish him off. I think there's a lot of room to be aggressive here if you're Alysia, so hope to see it. So stepping in, absolutely, heck yeah. Steps in. Yes, you take a point of damage from the tether, but I think that's okay. think this is the way. And you know, it's good for Brian too. Both people are getting what they want. Let's see. Ooh, Brian going for the shot. The tether to the shot. Was he hoping the tether would push? I think that's yeah. And that's just it. Dang, I think that's what happens, you know, when you just when your back is against the wall, and yeah, flying punch would have definitely gotten you out of it. But yeah, just we should just bulldozing our way in there, just muscling through, not caring about the traps, not caring about the extra fatigue, you know, just stepping into the tether, just saying like, fine, go ahead and tether me, I don't even care. Well played, GG's, and Kimberly advances to the next round.